All right, I've got some big airdrop updates for you heading into this weekend, some positive and some negative. So let's start off with some good news, which is that Layer Zero Labs just shared this today with the date June 20th, 2024. So it looks like next week we are either getting an eligibility checker at the minimum or potentially even the airdrop. We'll see what happens. Now on Twitter, the founder of Layer Zero has been publicly going through the process of weeding out the symbols, but in this long post he said right here that this weekend they're going to drop the symbol list, the final symbol list. So that means that as of this weekend you will know whether or not you were filtered out of this airdrop for being a symbol, and then next week we are either going to get the eligibility checker or maybe they'll just go ahead and drop the token. And this is going to be 3 days after the scheduled ZK Sync airdrop. So now let's talk about that, which in some ways for some people is definitely going to be bad news. But basically the ZK Sync team came out and said that they're not changing anything with the eligibility checker, they're not changing any allocations, and they're going forward as planned with the drop for June 17th. So at this point, the allocations are what they are, nothing is changing. They did drop a blog post with a little bit more detail on how they filtered out wallets. So when it came to the symbol filtering, basically they used time-weighted liquidity provision, which could be actually gamed by symbols with larger amounts of capital. And that's how we're seeing some people max qualify on many wallets getting millions of tokens, because if you were able to say drop $1,000 into 10, 20 wallets and then just provided liquidity, then technically you symboled and you still max qualified for this airdrop. So their method of filtering symbols is not based on proving humanity. It's not even based on looking for links between different wallets, but it's purely based on time-weighted average balance or providing liquidity on the chain. And so that means for the ZK Sync airdrop, you heavily benefited if you provided some liquidity, and if you were focused on usage and pushing volume on chain, that basically didn't matter at all. So even if you moved $100,000, $1 million worth of volume by doing token swaps and interacting with different apps, that was not nearly as relevant as just providing a couple $100s worth of liquidity. So in terms of my personal take on this, honestly, I think that they could have designed the airdrop in a different way to make it a little bit more inclusive. I think that the two major areas that they could have improved upon would be to include some sort of usage-based metrics so that people that interacted over time and pushed a lot of volume were able to get some rewards out of this. And then also B, I think that they could have done a better job of filtering for Sybil wallets using other methods, because a lot of known Sybil wallets from other airdrop campaigns actually made it into this one. Now that said, at this point, I don't think that there's anything to do, and obviously they are free to choose how they want to allocate their tokens, and this is the path that they have chosen. Now, the only silver lining I would say at this point is that if you didn't qualify for this, there looks like there will be some pretty considerable ecosystem incentives. So based on the token distribution chart, there's going to be another 20% of the token supply that is going to people that continue to interact with dApps and stuff like that. And then also there's the supply that is going to all of the different ecosystem apps. So for example, if you were a user of SyncSwap, you'll probably get some sort of allocation from SyncSwap and so on and so forth for all of the other different apps within the ecosystem. And they dropped a very long thread here breaking down how many tokens they're giving to all of these different projects within the ecosystem. So there's a lot of different ways that you can still get a share of the ZK token, even if you didn't qualify or if you didn't qualify for as much as you were hoping. All right, next up, let's talk about an airdrop that is currently live. Now, this one you don't have to claim. It is a true airdrop, and this is for Dimension stakers. It is the Manned token from the Manned network. So they just dropped today, and if you stake Dimension tokens using a MetaMask or an Ethereum wallet, you can check your balance in the portal here by clicking on the top right-hand corner and then selecting the Manned network. So this is the second airdrop to Dimension stakers. If you stake Dime tokens in a Kepler or a Leap wallet, you should be able to just check those in your wallet. The balance should be showing up. Now, in terms of liquidity and where to swap, you can actually swap in the Dimension app right here. Unfortunately, the transfers appear to be a little bit laggy, so I've been trying to transfer this so that I can swap it, and it's been pending for a few hours now. And then the other option is to actually sell it on an exchange like Bybit. And yeah, my personal plan for this one is to just sell it and move on. Next up, there's another airdrop that is claimable, this one for Atom ecosystem participants, but not necessarily stakers. I personally thought that I might receive it because I have been staking Atom since 2020, But when I went to look at the eligibility criteria here, you can see that that is not on the list. Really, a lot of the things that they looked at were for people that withdrew Atom from a centralized exchange, and then some osmosis activities and a couple of NFT holders. So if you have a Bad Kids or a Sloth NFT, then you get the airdrop. So congratulations to everyone that got this, and rip to me for staking my Atom instead of transferring it around. Another thing that you can claim today are your rewards if you're staking the mode token. So every week you can claim additional op tokens from Optimism, and if you don't claim them, then you forfeit them. So make sure that you claim yours before the end of this week. All right, another big update that we have is from Eigenlayer. So they posted this today, but it looks like next week the phase 2 season 1 Eigen airdrop is coming. So if you remember, in phase 1, they basically didn't drop to people that were using LRTs in DeFi protocols or some L2s and complex applications. They needed more time to figure out exactly which wallets were going to be eligible and how many points equal how many tokens. So it looks like next week, if you didn't get a major airdrop in phase 1, you'll be getting some tokens. And so this applies to people that took their LRTs and then deposited them into DeFi apps on L2s and did a bunch of different stuff. We are going to be getting an additional allocation next week. The Eigen token itself is still not liquid, non-transferable. That's supposed to be happening in August, September. You can stake it if you want to until then to earn more Eigen points. Okay, speaking of Eigenlayer, EtherFi, which is the leading liquid restake token for Eigenlayer, has just a couple of weeks left in season 2. So there's going to be another round of the EtherFi airdrop coming up. They released some more information in a blog post, but the most important takeaway from it is that it's going to be a completely linear distribution. There's going to be no tier-based drops like they did in season 1, and so it's completely based on the number of points that you've managed to accumulate. And then speaking of EtherFi, they actually just launched a new product that gives you exposure to the Eigenlayer competitor Symbiotic Finance. And so if you deposit your wrapped ETH into this new vault, you'll earn points for Symbiotic and EtherFi, and also something called Veda. So this is a pretty complex product here, stacking multiple restaking protocols on top of each other, all in the name of points. And this is actually only available right now on ETH mainnet. So yeah, if you missed the Symbiotic deposit caps, because those are currently full, this is one way that you can get exposure to that, although definitely do your own research before aping into this. And then the final piece of alpha for liquid restake tokens is that Mantle is launching a new one. It's going to be ticker symbol CMETH, and this is launching on July 1st. I personally am probably going to go heavily into this when it launches because I'm pretty bullish on this ecosystem and what they're building. So the way that it works is they're going to launch a point system on July 1st that's going to go for 100 days and is going to culminate in an airdrop of a new governance token called Cook. And there's going to be two main ways to earn this token. You can make deposits into the new liquid restake token from Mantle, or you can participate in the Puff airdrop campaign and get a retroactive drop of Cook as well. So yeah, I think this one should be quite good. If you remember, Mantle launched their liquid stake token METH just a few months ago, actually, much later than a lot of the other LSTs on the marketplace, and they were quickly able to capture a pretty significant amount of market share. So sometimes being a late mover isn't necessarily a disadvantage, and I think that this one is definitely going to be a cooker. Okay, next up, if you were farming the Infinex Speedrun the Waitlist airdrop campaign, which I did with just $100, the first 30-day component of that is over, so you can see how many points you got and your position on the waitlist. Less than 15,000 people actually deposited into this. And so with $100, I was able to come in rank 1,800, well, just under 1,900. Now, if you want to withdraw your funds from Infinex, that has now been enabled. And if you want to keep your money in there, then you get a points boost for the next campaign that they have going on called Crate Run, which starts in 11 days from now. And what do you get for participating in this? Well, they're dropping these patron NFTs, which are going to have governance power over Infinex, but also rewards in ETH and Sol. So yeah, I will personally just leave my funds in there. Maybe I'll even add a little more. And then finally, week 7 of the Caldera campaign is live. So if you've been following along with this, you can complete this quest and claim your week 7 oat. So yeah, that is it for today's video. Not as jam-packed as yesterday, but still some big news in there. And it looks like next week is going to be pretty massive, with ZK token actually dropping, and then layer 0 either eligibility or the token drop itself. So let's just pray that we are not flagged as Sybil on the final Layer 0 Sybil list that is coming out this weekend, and that we all get some solid allocations of the ZRO token. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great weekend.